Now, Dante's Peak, I think, has, as far as I know, that's the largest miniature that's been built. Maybe there's been something else I'm not aware of, but at least at that time, I'm pretty sure it was. And this huge river set was built on way up in the air, so we could have the water way up high, have a lot of room for the water to run down fast. And it was a huge tank, probably about 50 feet in diameter, and probably about 20 feet tall, 15 or 20 feet tall, all built out of steel. And up on scaffolding, I think they rented all the scaffolding in LA County and had to start going outside the county to find more scaffolding. Built out on the tarmac at Van Nuys Airport. Much of it was built like various scales, from quarter scale to like 12th scale. I think part of it might have even been 20th for the dam break. I was more involved in the river, in the bridge collapse, and a lot of hydraulic rams were attached to the bridge to give it so it could collapse, by control levers. You could make it collapse and go back up. And then for another sequence, we had to detach it from that and have it loosely attached, so when the water crashed through, then on ropes, we give it a big pull and it just pulled it away, so it actually got to break free. That portion was quarter scale. And then they forced the perspective on the hills up to about 12th scale, so the trees kind of tapered down. We had quarter scale vehicles that were going across the bridge that were on radio control. And they were also on a little mouse. There was a pipe that ran through the road, the middle of the road. I think we used like three-quarter inch conduit, like electrical conduit, and just cut a slit down that conduit. And through that you run what you call a mouse, just a slug that's pulled by a cable. And that slug has a fin on it that you can attach your vehicles to. And so now you're actually pulling the vehicles, as well as with radio control, to keep their wheels moving. And had to do some jumps with them, make some ramps so they could jump over, and the camera could see it jumping over, Dukes of Hazzard style.
Fox had Volcano and Universal had Dante's Peak. And usually when two studios come out with a movie about the same time, one of them just says, we're not going to do ours, we're going to wait till next year. But they decided to do this little, we're going to bring ours out before yours. And they started stepping the release dates back from the summer. And the last one they did, I thought, I don't know if we could actually do the work this fast. It was going to be incredibly fast. So that was a really tough show because we were racing Volcano. And oddly enough, we all knew each other. I knew Matt Beck, who was the supervisor, and Mike Chambers, the producer. We'd all worked together. I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't really talk to anybody. I didn't have time to talk to anybody. But out at the Van Nuys Airport, we built this enormous, the guys, Alan Fauché ran the shop, built this enormous miniature of a whole valley that floods, and Richard Stutzman was my effects guy that sort of rigged these two Humvees and a van to go over this bridge. The bridge is being swamped by the water. They built a breakaway dam that was beautiful, and then inside the buildings we had built various scales of the town that is destroyed by this pyroclastic flow. It's an explosion of basically hot ash and dust, and it just blows the buildings apart, and that was a crazy shoot. It was 24/7. I mean, we were working just nonstop, and we got it done. I don't know how, but I had an excellent crew on it, and it was sort of all the same guys as usual. The guys that weren't on Volcano were on Dante's Peak or Batman, and I think also Boss was doing one of the Harrison Ford 747 Air Force One or something. I don't know. There was a lot of stuff going on, so we were sort of strapped for people. We were running out of people. And Dante's Peak I think it must have been by sheer size, the largest model built, because the center was I think it was a 100-foot diameter steel tank that was up 40 feet on special scaffolding that could hold some 7 million pounds. When we had all the water, it was about 400,000 or 500,000 gallons of water. And it served both models. It served the flooding valley and also the dam. They were all built together, so these hydraulic doors would open, water would go down this big chute, and they would throw debris in, and that would be it's called Lahar, the little valley that gets flooded with the bridge. And then over on this side we go over and shoot the dam breaking, and it was pretty amazing. I got to say, it took me a while to sort of figure out, because I was just rushing.
And you have model makers that they got nothing better to do than to put elements of their past and personality into the models. Thanks to Chris Dawson, I think Gumby showed up a few places. Probably got removed. I think he got set up in places where there was a green screen. So Gene Rosardi, he'll tend to put a Godzilla into every set somewhere. So if you're looking around in shows, you'll see Godzilla. Some guys like to put little R2-D2s on every model that they make. And so if you look real hard on, there's a couple of the Fifth Element models had an R2-D2 on them.
You know, doing miniatures, even running the shop, one thing I found about the supervisor, your ass is out there on the line. You're dealing with the director and the producer and all these people. And I really hadn't done that very much. You know, I'd done it in 2 little movies, but this was a big deal. So the director wanted what he wanted, the studio wanted what they wanted, and you get sort of pulled, and I was not great at the political stuff then, so it was very stressful and sort of new to me. You know, so I look at the models going, I'm glad I'm not doing that, although I would rather have done it, because I got to say, the happiest times of my life are when I had a model on my desk and I was making something and I didn't have to worry about somebody not coming back from the coffee break on time, or this thing costing too much from the company that's selling us, or not getting here on time. I'm just making something. This is all I have to focus on. I would just work on stuff and I look at my watch, and instead of being 8 o'clock, it was now 12:30 time for lunch. The time would just fly. I'd never done anything that big before, and it was just a big sort of blur to me. But I had really good people that I was working with, and we somehow pulled it off. And again, model guys pulling together, doing some amazing work, and that's the only way we got it done. That's the only, if it had been anything, a different group of people, we would have never made it. But they were happy it got done at Universal. They made it, and they beat Volcano.